everybody! So in my last video I mentioned that I was gonna probably do a video going over all my bottled inks, and my collection is not as extensive as some people's are that I've seen. I've seen people with like hundreds of bottles of ink. I'm more of an ink sampler, so I have a few more ink samples than I have bottles. So I'm pretty selective about what full bottles I like to buy. So we're gonna go through all of these one by one. I'll give you a closer look at all the samples, and that'll be the video. So for starters, we're gonna go with my very first bottle of ink, well, one of my first bottles of ink. This is Noodler's Navajo Turquoise. This is a really nice, true blue turquoise ink. Noodler's bottles, this is a 3-ounce bottle. I don't know what that is in milliliters, but it's quite a bit of ink, and I don't think I'll ever run out of this. This was one of the first ones I ever got. I got it as part of the Noodler's Bestsellers ink sample pack first, and I fell in love with it. So I bought this, and I bought one other Noodler's bottle. These are filled to the brim, these bottles. They really are. So you get your bang for your buck with these, and they're nice. If you can hear that, a nice solid glass bottle. This one up here, right here, is the Navajo Turquoise sample. I tried to get like kind of some ink splotches on them so you can get an idea of like the shading. This one shades really nicely. Unfortunately, with my Q-tips, I didn't manage to get any of that much the shading. If you can kind of see, there is some really nice color variation there. This one I mostly use for hand lettering. I don't use this one so much for writing anymore because it does take a very long time to dry. But I love this ink, and you can see I kind of tried. I bought a calligraphy dip pen from Michael's the other day. I mostly wrote these out for my own edification, that way I know which ones I'm pointing at, but so don't worry about trying to read them, because when I do full-on ink reviews, I have a glass dip pen that's on the way. I did do my first ink review test, which I might post a video about later, with the calligraphy nib, but I think going forward I'm probably going to use the calligraphy nib for some smaller things and do the full ink review with that glass dip pen. Hopefully that'll be there later this week. I'll be here later this week. So yeah, if you're looking for really nice true blue turquoise, Navajo Turquoise is really a great choice. Next up, in my only other Noodler's full bottle, is Lexington Gray. This one has a label that kind of goes all the way around the corner. I'm not the biggest fan of black inks, but I do love this gray ink because it's not even like a black gray or a blue gray. It's kind of like a brown gray, if that really makes any sense. This was another one that I got as part of the Noodler's bestseller sample pack, and once I was out of that sample, I was like, I need this bottle. I need the whole thing. I've only used it in a handful of pens. I think I mostly used this with my Lamy fine nib on my Safari, but it's, you know, when I use it, I'm never disappointed. It's just a matter of when I'm in the mood for a gray ink. So let's take another look at that sample, if you can take a look at that. So I have a little book light here that I'm using as lighting because it's not so nice today, so I can't use my usual natural lighting. This one I did manage to get some splotches so you can kind of see the color variation there. This one's it's not marketed as a fast drying ink, but it is a fast drying ink. Like, it really does not take very long to dry at all. And it does, because it's bulletproof, it has a little tendency to spread a little bit with, depending on the nib you put in it. So I tend to put it in my finer nibs, that way the color's not too washed, nothing spreads too far, and if it does spread, it only spreads into like a medium, not into a broad. And it's just a really, really nice, well-behaved bulletproof ink. So starting in on my Diamines, which I think I have the most of. I'm trying to go in order of, at least keep all my brands together. But, so I've got a little, this is the 30 mil, I want to say. Yeah, the 30 mil Diamine Aurora Borealis. This was the first ink that I ever bought sight unseen. I'd never tried the sample. I just saw the color when it came out at the beginning of 2019, and I was just like, I need to have that ink. And since it came in a small bottle as well as their larger bottles at the time, it was perfect. I was like, okay, it's a small bottle. If I don't use it, I don't use it. It doesn't take up that much space. But I love it. I'm pretty good with the inks that I buy. I don't usually buy bottles if I don't think I'm going to use them. Our ink sample, which actually you kind of see compared to a very similar ink, What's weird, because I'm sampling this on Lexington 1917 paper, which isn't known for its ability to show off ink properties, but Aurora Borealis does have a slight red sheen to it, and it's not really coming through on this sample, and I'm really wondering, I probably should put down a little more ink. But it's a very pretty green leaning teal. It on the right paper and with the right pen, it does have some very nice sheen. I'm a little sad that it didn't come through on this, but I use this. It's weird. It shows up more green, or it shows up like a lighter green depending on the size of the nib. So I had this in my Visconti. It was like a very deep forest green, and then I put it in something else that was finer. I don't remember exactly which pen. It was more of this like this greenish teal. So it's one of those things that the pen, it completely depends on what pen you put it in, how the ink is going to look, and I really like that about this ink. Next up, so a very similar ink is Diamine Marine. This was another one that I think I bought sight unseen. I just saw the sample of it and I just kind of knew that I would inherently like it. This also, depending on the pen I put it in, it can lean more green, or it can lean more blue, or it can lean more in the middle. It's kind of always keeping me on my toes. This ink, this is the 80 ml Diamine bottle, the nice big, you can see like the size, it's like half the size of my hand. It's just a really nice bottle. It's good sturdy glass with like a metal cap. This one, I've seen people use empty Diamine bottles as sample holders, which I'm kind of considering because I had an incident with a sample the other day, which I'm kind of sad about. But this is just a very pretty bottle, and I don't know if I'll ever finish this ink, but I have plenty of it. Alright, so here's the Diamine Marine sample. This one I was able to get a little more shading on. It does have some very nice shading on it, I will say. It's like a bluish seafoam green. That's the kind of the best way I can attribute to it. It's marine. It's marine green. It's really pretty. It's really well behaved. All the Diamine inks are very well behaved. I've never had any issues trying to clean any of them out of any of my pens. And they're just really pretty. This is Diamine Festive Cheer. This was part of the this is the Diamine Blue series, which means it was part of the Diamine Inkvent calendar from the holiday season of 2019, which I did not get because I think I told myself I would get either a pen or the Inkvent calendar. I think I ended up getting a pen. I don't remember which one I bought. These bottles are just so pretty. Just like the whole shape of them is just, they're just very pretty. I got two of these. I'll show the other one next. I got two sheening inks. The Festive Cheer, this one, it's listed as a blue, and it is blue. I would describe it more as an indigo, because in the right pen it really does look purple. But it has a very nice gold sheen that comes through with the right pen. The pen I have it in right now does not show off the sheen, just kind of comes through with a really nice indigo ink. But it is just very, very pretty, and the sheen came through on the ink sample, which I'm really excited to show you. So here is Diamine Festive Cheer. As you can see, there is some really, it's not really blue, not really purple, it's an indigo, and it has some really nice gold sheen, which is a lot of fun. This comes through really nicely in my medium TWSBI Eco. It's a really great pen for this, and it's just a very fun ink, which I don't use nearly enough, but I think anyone that owns more than one bottle of ink says they don't use any of their inks nearly enough. For my this, I will say, I can't pick a favorite ink, but if I did, it'd be this one. Is Diamine Polar Glow. This is another Blue Series ink with the fun bottle. This one it's blue with a red sheen, and it's a really, really good sheener. And this ink, the sheen comes through on the Lickstrom, but it doesn't come through nearly as much as it should. Because on Tomoe River paper, it's just, every letter has sheen. It's beautiful. And like I said, these bottles are just really, really pretty. This one hasn't been out of a pen since I bought it. It went immediately into my Visconti Van Gogh. It has not left that pen. Not once. And here is our sample. I dripped a little bit of water on it, so you can see it's not really, it's not water resistant at all. But you can get an idea of that sheen. It's just really, really pretty. And it's just it's a nice blue ink. And like on paper where you won't see the sheen, I use this at work because no one cares. No one's reading what I'm writing. But I would deem this a fairly work appropriate ink. if you're on paper that doesn't sheen all that well. And even if you're on paper that does sheen very well, I don't see a reason why you can't use this. It's just a very nice deep blue. Finishing up my Diamine inks, this is a celebrating 150 years. This is Diamine Lilac Night. This was part of their anniversary ink collection. This is their 50 ml bottle. This one, I bought the sample, I think to match my Gin House Shark. And honestly, since I tried it, I knew immediately that I needed the whole bottle because I knew I would never use enough of this. Anytime anyone asks on like any Facebook groups for like a dark-ish purple, this is what I suggest. It's a very well-behaved ink. It's beautiful. It shades. I have nothing but good things to say about this ink. And the bottle is just really cool. It looks like a cake piece. Look at it from this direction. It looks like cake or pie, however you want to go. As you can see, it's like a dusty purple. And it shades really well. I was able to get some really good ink splotches on this one. I haven't used it in a while, but I'm pretty sure for a while there wasn't one pen that I had that hadn't had this ink in it at least once. I used it in everything. Right, going into a new brand, we've got Van Diemen's. I'm gonna butcher the name of this ink. So I've got a little 30 ml bottle of Van Diemen's Freycinet Aquamarine, maybe. My understanding though is Van Diemen's no longer uses these bottles. They use round, like inkwell kind of looking bottles now. I got these at the beginning of the year. My friend went to Australia and she bought them for me so that way I could save on international shipping. This is actually the first ink that I did any ink testing for, so I've got the full story with this one, but a little sneak peek to that. I don't call it by its whole name, I call it Aquamarine, because we both always get this on us when we use it. But I'll get into the full story in that ink testing video because it's a pretty fun story. But this is just a really pretty ink. I like this bottle. When I get more, I'm kind of sad that I won't be getting this bottle, but I'd rather have the ink, honestly, than not have it at all, just because I want the old bottle. I'm not that hipstery. So this is the sample. It's very similar to Navajo Turquoise. It's a little lighter and it doesn't shade quite as well. When I was doing my shade testing, I got next to no shading on it. But it's just a very nice, solid blue ink. I have this in a pen that I didn't actually show my fountain pen collection video because it's not really a fountain pen. It's the Traveler's Company brass rollerball that takes fountain pen cartridges. So what I did was I removed the cartridge that was, I cleaned out the cartridge that it came with and filled it with this one because I figured I could use it on receipts and stuff like that, and it kind of looks more or less professional. That way I can stop using pens when I go places. But it's a really nice, well-behaved ink. Van Diemen's inks are really outstanding. If you can find I think in the US you can get them from Pen Chalet and Van Ness is where I've been able to find them. Or you can order them straight from Van Diemen's. You gotta pay for international shipping. So my other Van Diemen's ink, this one, the first one was from their original series. This one's from their Wilderness series. This is Van Diemen's Spotted Sun Orchid. This is another 30 ml bottle. This one was my favorite purple until recently. I just inked up my my TWSBI with Sailor Ink Studio 150. That one is giving this one run for its money, I'll be honest. They're very close. The way I kind of described it to my friend was that 150 is like this, but on steroids. Because it's got a similar coloration, it's got a similar color variation, but it has this green tinge to it that I can't fully I think it's got like green haloing in it. I don't really know. It's just very pretty. That's a whole other video. But this one is also very pretty, and it's got some really nice color variation and really nice shading, and it dries fairly quickly, which is all I can really ask out of an ink because I'm impatient. And here's its sample. As you can see, there is some color variation, there is some shading. It's subtle, but this ink dries really well and dries really fast, especially on Tomoe River paper, which I can appreciate since that's mostly what I use. And it's just a really pretty purple. In case you couldn't tell, I tend to only have inks in the cool color spectrum. That's just what I prefer to use. I'm not the biggest fans of like reds and oranges and yellows. And there's so much variation in purples and greens and blues that it's just, I could try all of them and I'd run out of space very quickly. I could fill every nook and cranny of my house with these inks and still not have enough space for them all. I just love them, and they're all so beautiful and unique. I can't get enough of them. So coming into my last three, these are all three inks that I only have one ink per brand. So we're gonna start with Monteverde Blueberry Muffin. This one is part of their Sweet Life collection, I believe. This is, I want to say 30 mils. That sounds about right. This one, I've only used it a handful of times. I don't think I've actually put it in a pen that I've used consistently. I put it in my Monza 3, which is how I got this. It came free last year when I bought my Monza 3. And I used it with the Flex Nib for a little while. And I think that might be the only thing I've used it for since. Which I don't know why, because it's very pretty. It's a very nice, like, cooked blueberry ink. It's a nice, it's not really a dupe for Black Swan in Australian Roses or whatever that ink is called, but it's very, very similar. So I gotta find an excuse to use this pen at some point. As you can see, there is some really nice shading, which I don't understand. I can't explain why I haven't used it, other than I just haven't, because I don't gravitate towards reddish purples. I tend to gravitate more towards blue purples. This is like a burgundy Merlot kind of color. I'm a big fan. Now that I'm seeing it in this lighting and with this paper, I'm more inclined to actually give it a shot, because this looks really pretty. If you're anyone who's ever used fountain pens ever, you've likely come across this ink. I have a 50 ml bottle of Robert Oster Fire and Ice. I think it's like a rite of passage to have used this ink at least once if you're a fountain pen user in the US. It's a nice blue teal, blue turquoise, whatever, with a red sheen. The Robert Oster bottles are just like, they're plastic, you can hear that, but they're like sturdy plastic, kind of like the Diamine 30 ml bottle. It's just, it's a good option if you're afraid you're gonna break your bottles, like I am always afraid is going to happen. I haven't bought one yet, knock on wood, but I'm always kind of afraid that I'm going to. This one I bought recently, I want to say in June, when I bought my two Diamine Blue Series inks. And I don't think it's in anything right now. No. It was in my TWSBI Emerald 580, but when I de-inked that, this one has been without a pen for a little while. I had this in my Kaweco Frosted Sport for a while. That was a really nice combination. That might be the next one. That's always a nice combination. Here's that ink. Hopefully the sheen is coming through. There's a little bit on like the darker splotches that you can see. It's a red sheen. It's just really pretty. This is another one that I don't see why you couldn't use it at work with the right paper and the right pen. It's just Robert Oster inks are very well behaved. I don't buy inks. I don't buy trouble inks, I will say. I don't buy any ink that is notorious for being hard to clean. Like, I don't have any Bay State series inks. I don't have any of that. I have very few. I don't have any bottles of shimmer ink. I have a couple of samples and I didn't pick them. They came as surprise ink samples. But it's a really nice shiny ink. Last but certainly not least is a Lamy Crystal ink. This is Benitoite. This is the Lamy Crystal 30 ml bottles with their kind of weirdly triangular guitar picky shape. This, I also bought this one sight unseen. I didn't get any samples or anything. I just kind of knew that I wanted this ink, and I have not regretted it. This one is usually in one of my TWSBIs. That's usually where I tend to put it. It's a nice, it's not a blue black. It's kind of like a blue gray, if that makes any sense. It dries really well. It's fairly water resistant. It'll be fun to kind of do an ink sample or an ink test of this, because it is fairly water resistant. So I use this one at work for that specific reason, because I have a tendency to spill stuff on my desk, and I've had entire notes be washed away because they were written in Diamine Polar Glow. So I try to use this for work stuff as much as I can, just because I know if I spill anything or I drop anything on my notepad, it's gonna be fine. And these bottles are just really, they're nice. They're glass with metal I think. But it's either metal or just metal coated plastic. Either way, it's just a really nice bottle. It says made in Germany on there. The only thing, people have said this before, the bottles don't have the name anywhere on them. It just says Lamy Crystal ink made in Germany. There is a little band around the cap with a color, so if I had more than one, that would be how I would be able to tell them apart. I don't think I'm ever going to get another crystal ink. There's none that really appeal to me. Maybe Peridot. Peridot kind of is a nice green ink, but I don't know if I'll ever get a bottle of it. I just really love this ink. And here is our sample. You can see there is some really nice, it doesn't have a lot of shading. If I hadn't put down those splotches, like, I don't really know if you would be getting any shading from this. But it's, like I've said about all of these, a very well-behaved ink. This one does dry very fast, especially in my medium TWSBI. And the shading when you can get it is really nice. But this one I mostly use for the waterproofness and the color, not so much the shading properties. This is just a good ink to use. This is a great ink. This one I can wholeheartedly, regardless of the paper that you're using, suggest that you use this one for work if you want to, because it is just, it's good for all situations. All right, so this has been my ink collection. Thank you for watching. In my next video, if all goes well, will be my ink test of Van Diemen's Aquamarine. It has a name that I don't know what it is. It's now and forever Aquamarine. And after that one, hopefully by then my my glass dip pen will arrive. So hopefully the next ink test after this first one, I'll be able to use that glass dip pen and kind of show you guys how that goes. And we'll maybe get to do a little more, we'll do a little figuring out of how my ink testing goes, because right now I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do with it. But we'll get to explore that together, and we'll see how my ink testing kind of evolves as I keep doing these videos. So thanks again for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe if you want to watch more of these. I put out new videos every Wednesday at around 1 p.m. Eastern time. Until then, have a great day, pen friends. See you later.